Today we have a faulty Xbox One X that is, I believe, Gears of War 5 Special Edition. Not only is this a special edition, but it's in great condition. The fault with this specifically is that we don't actually get any display to a screen. And look at this skull, which is like, it's embedded on like a second layer of the case. So it's not on the first layer, but it's like it's almost like a bit of a see-through effect. It's really cool. We have like a paint spray effect on the back as well. Personally, I think so far the coolest special edition console that I've worked on or seen. And it's almost like gold font and stuff on the back. It's awesome. Does look like it's been opened before, but hopefully we're going to be able to fix it. Unfortunately, this won't be included in Sally's spectacular spreadsheet because I'm not selling this console. Today, we're just looking to fix it. If we can, that is. Let's spin it up then, take it for a ride and see if it actually turns on. A massive thank you to VIP SCD Key for sponsoring today's video. It's time to get rid of that pesky Windows activation watermark that you have on your desktop. First, head on over to VIP SCD Key using the link in the description down below. Click on the Windows 10 Pro OEM license key option, which later on can also be upgraded for free to Windows 11. Then click on Buy Now and enter the special promo code JDT for a whopping 25% off your purchase. Check out using your preferred method. Mine personally is PayPal. Once your order has been fulfilled, which is almost instant, click on the option that says Get the Key, and this will display the key that you've just purchased, which you can, by the way, just copy straight into your activation screen. Once you've pasted the product key, hit next, then activate. And there you have it. You now have an activated Windows 10 Pro license. Here we go. Right, so we have the cables plugged in, HDMI plugged in. Does it turn on? First of all, it does. Did you hear that as well? It's got obviously like a custom speaker for a Gears of War sound effect when you turn the console on. That's amazing. First thing we're going to check is that actually this stays on for over a minute, because if it doesn't and it turns off, that can indicate a faulty hard drive. The person that sent me this console did advise that the HDMI port hasn't taken a battering, so it's not fallen off a shelf or not been messed around with a cable. So I don't think this one is going to be a HDMI port. Straight off the bat, one might say that it could be a retimer IC. Console has stayed on. It's been well over a minute now, so I don't think it's going to be a faulty hard drive, which is obviously good news because whatever data is on this console, it won't be lost. At least currently, I think it's not a faulty hard drive. I've been wrong many times before, as you know, on this channel. Let's turn it off. There's that cool noise again. Let's find out the condition of the console underneath the hood. For clarification as well, I have not been told why this console's been opened before, so I don't know if it's had a clean or whether it's had a prior job done to it. Extremely clean from this perspective so far. You don't usually see an amount of dust around where the hard drive is. However, sometimes you have remnants of dust floating about, but there is nothing here, which is good. Just take out all the long screws now. You have to make sure that we disconnect this little ribbon cable as well. Otherwise, when you separate the bottom chassis to the top chassis, you're not going to have a very nice time because it's going to rip that ribbon cable. And whilst we're here, I'm just going to disconnect the front board and also the Wi-Fi board on the side. Now we separate the two boards. Oh, left a screw in. Try that again. Now we separate the two boards. There we go. And remove two other screws. Now we can pop this hood, which can sometimes be a little bit stubborn because of these little things at the back. It's mainly due to the longer one, which is down here. And now I just like to remove all the other screws. Move disk drive forward. We can remove the power supply. Take out the disk drive, the hard drive, and the fan. This is the long bit that I was speaking about earlier. Now we'll remove the four screws that are holding the heatsink onto the board. And we can pull the board out with the heatsink. That's the custom speaker, look at that. I wonder if you could put other custom speakers from other special edition Xboxes onto here and change the sound. I'm gonna go ahead and assume so. Now my favorite part is using my X-clamp tool. I now have affiliate links with AliExpress. So for stuff like my X-clamp tool can be found in the links down below in the description. Every time you purchase something on AliExpress, I get a little bit of a kickback. 1, 2, 3. And look at that, easy. Before this, I was using a screwdriver, and I don't even want to talk about some of the mistakes that I made because of that. Now we should just be able to get the heatsink off. Sometimes they can be a little bit stubborn. There we go. And that is a little bit dry, if I say so myself. Let's just sort this out now. I think it's time to head over to our microscope to take a look and see exactly why this isn't displaying. First inspection, HDMI port. How are we looking? As expected, pretty fine. No damage to the HDMI port. The clasp at the bottom is still completely intact. So I believe that this is not going to be the cause of our no display issue. My thought process and the reason behind the no display is either going to be because of this chip here, which is our retimer. It should be TDP158, which it is. You do have a TDP159 retimer IC. However, these will only work on the Xbox One S consoles and not the Xbox One X's. You can, however, use a TDP158 on both an Xbox One X, which is this console, and an Xbox One S, its predecessor. It's either going to be that, or it might even be the U21, which is the ESD filter. These have a habit of going bust as well, and I think somebody might want to correct me. I think this ESD filter is the one used on the newer generation Xbox Series X and Series S consoles. Now, a quick shout out to Micro Mage Repair, who is a good friend of the channel. I believe it's this capacitor that Mr. Mage points out should have a very high reading in resistance mode. If we have an extremely low resistance on this side of the cap closest to the retimer IC, that can usually indicate a bad retimer. So my multimeter is in resistance mode now, and I'm just going to measure this cap here. It's coming up as 1.1 kilo ohms. I don't know if that's enough. This one is 4 kilo ohms. This resistor here is showing 9.5K, just out of interest. I'm just going to see what the measurement is here. That's 4K, that's measuring 2.4K, and that's also 2.4K. Just because I'm curious, in diode mode, let's see what the reading is here. 0.3 voltage drop, and on here we have a 0.2 voltage drop. On here is 0.2 as well. Here is a donor Xbox One X, and I'm just going to check the cap and see what reading we get there. See if that gives us, and this is in resistance mode again, just to see if we get a higher resistance reading on this. So what resistance do we get here? See, that's coming in at 5K. Whereas again, the original board we're working on, what was it, 1K? Was it 1 point something K? Yeah, it's 1K. So maybe that is just a little bit low then, and that proves that the retimer is faulty. In which case, let's get this retimer swapped out. HDMI retimer IC has been swapped out and it looks okay, pretty dead straight. Pin number 1 is here and lines up with the chip. I'm now going to measure and see what we have on this cap here. This is now 5K, so this is reading 5K instead of the 1K that it was originally. So with me assuming that this is meant to read 5K and not the 1K, supposedly this issue is now resolved. I think as well that cap that we were talking about with the retimer actually links to here on the ESD. So do we read 5K here as well? Yes, we do 5K. If I put the meter into continuity mode, do the two link up? So here and here? Yes, they do. Perfect. Okay. Never actually checked the pins on the HDMI port to see what kind of state they were in, but they look factory and fine. So I don't believe we're going to have any issues here. All good. And lastly, we'll check the filters. We need continuity through the filters on each one. Seem to be reading all good. You might be thinking, Joey, just get on with it and test. And you're probably absolutely right. However, if we don't check those things and I go to test and it doesn't work, the famous rule is do it nice or do it twice. And sometimes even thrice or thrice. Add the complete incorrect amount of thermal I feel like I can get away with saying that today because I'm wearing his merch, tronicsfixstore.com. We have the console back together. It's now time to test. I know what happens because again, it wasn't working on my Elgato capture cam until I actually made it to the dashboard. We turn the console on and for some reason still isn't showing on the capture card. And again, I've just gone into the main menu and changed it. Is it going to work? In 3, 2, 1. There it is. I promise you it's actually working on a normal screen. For some reason it's just not working with my Elgato. Sometimes it can be really, really funny. There we go. Okay, eventually it's come back. It could also be the cable that I'm using from my Elgato to the actual console. Is very much a possibility. But you see, if we go into TV and display options just to make sure we have 4K as an option, which is really, really good, as well as 1440p. When I switched over the retimer IC from the previous one to the new one, it automatically goes into 480p, so I had to change it. But everything works fine. I'm just putting a disc in as well. It's specifically Sims 4, so hopefully we see that pop on the screen right about now. There we go, a little bit late maybe, but the disk drive is working fine as well. And overall we have a fully fixed Xbox One X. Remember to check out those links in the description of today's video. As always, thank you very much for watching and I will see you in the next one. Peace.